Hello, everybody. Ooh, craggly voice. Kathy Caprino here. Welcome to another awesome episode of Finding Brave. Gosh, I love doing this show. What a ball. And today is no exception. I am so honored and thrilled to have Ravi Gundlapalli. Did I get it?
Absolutely. You got
Oh, I'm
A
just like,
plus.
how wonderful. My dad, who rest in peace, was brilliant. Phi Beta Kappa, 7 patents, but he couldn't get a name right to save his life. I don't know what's that about. So I think I have that. Anyway, hello everyone. We have Ravi here, who we just discovered or recognized that I have connected with you and known you now. It's 6 years, right?
I
5
know.
years.
Time flies. Time flies. Yes. We spoke when we were just getting started on this big mission to really unleash the power of mentorship in the world.
Oh,
And here we are 6 years
and
later.
look how much
A
you've
lot has
done.
happened.
And today we are talking about how to land powerful mentorship to accelerate your success and your growth. I am the biggest fan of this topic. I think that, I say constantly, we cannot achieve our big dreams alone and in a vacuum. And you are just the walking embodiment of this. So let us jump in and talk about mentorship. But before we do, I want you to know about Ravi. Dr. Ravi is founder and CEO of MentorCloud, a global mentoring technology platform for people within a company and now within the community or around the world, really, right? To learn from each other. Dr. Ravi is a globally recognized thought leader and keynote speaker on the topics of mentorship, entrepreneurship, and innovation, and is also the author of The Art of Mentoring. Dr. Ravi's on a mission to impact 100 million people and more, why not, with the power of mentoring. Prior to MentorCloud, Ravi led supply chain solutions for Boeing 787. I don't think I knew Dreamliner and other high-tech companies. So welcome to the show. Let's
Thank you.
dive in, Ravi. Can you tell us, first of all, what got you so passionately connected to the idea of mentorship that you created a platform for it? What's the story behind that?
Yeah. I believe in human connections. And, as a human race, we thrived because of people learning from each other. And even before the technology came in, we all shared what we knew. We all asked others for help when we needed to. But over time, the technology has not really allowed us. We are connected but somewhat disconnected, because
Yeah.
we are in the world where you could connect with anyone. But then when it
Mm.
comes to really accessing a piece of knowledge or information from another human being, there is no technology platform that really says, hey, here is Kathy in this part of the world, who has the piece of advice or wisdom that you are looking for. She has been there, done that. Is
Mm.
there an easy way to get connected to her? you
There
know
never, before you launched MentorCloud, there wasn't that. There was just no way.
there wasn't that. If you went to Google, you could find a Starbucks much easily than a
Wow.
mentor
Wow.
who was out there wanting to help you.
Mm.
But then he or she did not know you were looking for it, and you did not know who those people were. So it's almost like, my background is in supply chain. I
Mm.
worked on a 787 Dreamliner, and a sort of a life-changing moment, several years ago. I was involved in a accident that didn't happen. My plane almost collided with another plane when I was in India on a speaking tour. And
You were
what
on the
was-
plane that
I was
almost
on the
collided?
plane. Yes, I was on the plane. So what bugged me was that the plane we were going to hit had the president of India on it. So all the news release, all newspaper articles were all about the president of India saved and so on. But I was thinking, what about me? There was no mention of Ravi, even though I have a PhD, I have engineering patents, and I worked for the 787 Dreamliner. So I kind of started to think, and my supply chain background sort of set on me. I was still in the airport at that time, waiting for the next plane. I said, look, I have done what I call the supply chain of products. That is, when basically matching people that had a product with the people that wanted it. I said, if I can match it with wisdom, there are people in the world who have built companies, who have built successful careers. If you call that as a supply of wisdom, and then there are
Mm.
people, young entrepreneurs, young professionals who want to learn and grow. If you call it as the demand for wisdom, I said, what if I optimize that supply chain? What if I
Wow.
bring these two sides together? And then very quickly I realized that that supply chain is broken. It is very
Hmm.
hard to know who in the world has the piece of sort of wisdom that I'm looking for. So I said, let me optimize this, what I then called the supply chain of wisdom. And
Wow.
if you do that, we let wisdom flow more effectively in the world.
Oh, I love it. Now, wait, I have two things to ask. How did the idea that everyone was talking about the president was being saved, and you said, what about me? How did that connect to mentorship in
Yeah.
your
So
mind?
basically, that incident sort of woke me up to think about impact.
Impact,
He said, how
impact,
do I create
impact.
impact that I become the front page
I
news,
see.
if that ever happened? I believe
Wow.
when Mr. Alfred Nobel, there's a story not many people know.
Hmm.
Uh, I believe Alfred Nobel's brother actually got shot, and the newspaper actually said Alfred died.
Oh,
And when
no.
Alfred Nobel woke up in the morning, having his cup of tea and opened the newspaper, it said that Alfred Nobel, the inventor of dynamite, has died.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, most people don't even know that Alfred Nobel made all his fortune from actually inventing dynamite.
I didn't know that at all.
So he is probably the only human being who read his own
So,
obituary.
oh, oh
Okay.
my, what a
So,
story.
and that was a time I believe he said, I don't want the world to remember like this. And that too, a small obituary in one piece, one corner of the newspaper. So he instituted the whole Nobel Prize, and
No
and
way.
uh, and one thing led to another. So we have the opportunity to write our story.
Oh,
We
that's
have the opportunity
beautiful.
to sort of leave a legacy that we want people to remember about us. So I said, it was not enough. Whatever I have done by then wasn't enough. So I was thinking more about impact. So I made a pact that day that I will focus on how do I impact a lot of people, because the best way to live is to live in the hearts of other people. So I
Oh,
said,
there's
that's
a
how
tweetable. That's beautiful. Is that your phrase or
it's
so?
mine. It's completely mine.
There you go.
I
You
spoke to a
just
group of real
immortalized
estate
yourself.
agents, and I told them, guys, if you live in somebody's house, you pay mortgage, but if you live in somebody's hearts, it's free.
Oh, Robbie,
You
that's
know.
beautiful. You live
So
in my heart. Now, wait, I have to stop you because there's more. Didn't you also tell me there was a young man who connected before you created Mentor Cloud, I think?
absolutely.
Can you tell that story too?
Yes. So that's why I say, universe always has a plan, and we just have to kind of follow it and let it
And
evolve.
hear it.
So
Yeah.
right around that time, a 16-year-old visually challenged student
Visually
in
challenged.
India, after my keynote, came up to me and said, "Sir, I really want to study math and science. Can you help me get into MIT? The world's number one university. And here I am in a small town in India." And that audacity, or such a big goal, really sort of, I was very encouraged by someone having such a big goal. So I did my due diligence. He was
Wow.
very determined, and then I started mentoring him. And
Oh, I'm
he
crying over
got
here.
into MIT. He
He
graduated.
did?
He did, with full financial aid,
What?
and some of our friends helped him with his living expenses. And then he graduated from Sloan School with an undergraduate degree, and now he's running a very successful company back in India.
Oh,
So I
Robbie.
saw the magic when the right people come together, but it was total serendipity.
How
It told me
beautiful.
that, why don't I choreograph serendipity? Why don't I make a technology platform? If it is easy to find a Starbucks, it should be easy to find a mentor too. But I need to create a space where people that are willing to share are able to sort of put themselves out there, and people that are willing to learn are also looking in that area. So I needed to
Mm,
create this space for people to meet, and that's how MentorCloud was born.
I so love it. I want to highlight something too that I think you're too humble to say, but what you did for that individual is the heart of mentorship. It's the heart of being of service. And I just want to say this, I'm transparent and talk about all the nasty stuff too. A lot of us in the service profession are very beleaguered by the amount of people that we hear, especially on a platform like LinkedIn, where I'm hearing from people every single day who, wouldn't have money to pay for coaching, but are hoping for mentoring.
Mm.
And I just want to stop and say what you did was so emblematic of what it is to be a person of service in the world. That if we only look at, and I try to be this as much as I can, if we only look at I'm not making money. If you don't pay me, I can't mentor you. Or if you're a coach, people, or a thought leader or a consultant, and you don't have anything free to offer people that can't pay you, or you don't have a second to answer their question on LinkedIn, I think you got to rethink things, because I feel like so many people in the world need help, and we've needed help. You have mentors. I have mentors. We just had a mentoring conversation a month ago where I'm trying to reach somebody and you connected me. Everyone needs them. So if you can be on not only the giving end, but also understand that you need mentoring, I think the whole world changes. Would you agree with that whole spiel?
Absolutely. In fact, in one of the talks, I said the only thing we do alone is entering the world and then leaving the world.
Yeah.
Everything else, you should not do things alone. You are supposed, because human beings are sort of inherently tribal. So
Right.
there is no reason to do things on your own. When you go to a movie, we do it together. But when you actually build a startup, or when you're building your career, why do it alone?
I get it.
Surround yourself with good people. One of my good friends and mentors and advisors, Keith Ferrazzi, wrote this book, Never Eat Alone.
Oh,
And the
such a good
second book
book.
is called Who's Got Your Back. So
Mm.
all of you listening, I think you should think about, definitely never eat alone. Make sure you have other people that you're surrounding yourself with. And then always ask the question, who is looking over your shoulders and making sure you succeed? Because that's the kind of support network we need to build. And there is no reason to do things alone. It's
Oh,
perfectly okay to ask for help.
I absolutely love it. So, can you tell us, and then we're going to talk about, you have a new development that's so important for women who, everyone's going to love it. Can you do this? Because I am sure you do too, get 100 questions a month about um, how do I get a mentor? But what they don't ask is how to be a great mentee.
Right.
What people miss is it's such a mystery to them. How do you land a mentor? How do you even talk to a mentor? But what they don't ask is, how do you be that person that someone else really wants to help? Can you talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get into how your platform helps?
Yes, absolutely. Again, I like to speak in analogies, and I always ask people, before you ask somebody to give you a ride to the airport, you should have given a ride to the airport to somebody in the first place,
Oh,
right?
nice.
So otherwise, you're not entitled to ask someone. So
Ooh,
the best quality of a mentee is to be a mentor to somebody else, because you can go to your high school and talk to
I
students
love
there.
that.
You can talk to your neighbors. You can talk to your friends' children. There's so many ways, because I always look for, has this person given to others? That
Right.
means he or she recognizes that I'm spending my valuable time. So there has to be a sense of gratitude, which I
Oh.
always look for in the mentee. And second is, how much has this mentee invested? How much
Right.
has
In
he or
their
she,
own growth on their own, you mean,
their
right?
own growth, as well as understanding who I am. When people
Oh,
come to me and say, hey Ravi, I read your book, I was at your talk at this conference, I really like these 2 3 insights. Here's a picture I took that when you said this, I'm definitely more leaning towards,
right.
this person spent some time to really know me, and so that means he will value my time. So I
I love
encourage
it.
mentees to invest the time up front.
Right.
Like for example, in my book, I talk about, if there is someone that you really admire, whose wisdom is something that you can benefit from, and if that person is serving on a board for a nonprofit, you go volunteer at the nonprofit,
Wow.
because you want to show that, look, you are entering the universe of what the mentor really cares about. So being grateful, and being a mentor to somebody else, sort of having that, you're now entitled to ask somebody for help. And then you know
I love it.
investing in understanding the mentor's sort of background. And I always
Mm.
encourage people to ask for 10 minutes first.
And you
Yeah,
know what I also love? So many people come kind of with their hand out, will you help me? And they also don't understand that they have amazing talents and gifts to offer others.
correct.
And people that don't understand that, they fail to thrive. If they come with their hand out and think, well, Ravi's going to get me all the doors opened, I don't have to do the work. You're missing some key traits of what true success really is. So, do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah, because mentorship it has to be a two-way street,
Right.
because the mentor also should feel that his or her time is being spent in sort of meaningfully.
Right.
So it cannot be that I'm going to a class. That's why I also said mentorship is not a class. When you
Mhm.
go to a university, it's a one-way street.
I
The
love it.
professor is telling something and you're listening. But in a mentorship, it's a conversation.
And the
You're having
mentor
conversation.
learns and the mentor gains,
Exactly.
but
So
not if the mentee just views it as what can you give me?
yeah, yeah, it never works. I
Right.
mean, transactionally once or twice it can work, but next time, if the mentor says I'm very busy right now, they're actually not busy. They're basically saying, you know what, I don't see value in the relationship.
There you go. There you go. Oh, I love it. Now, tell us. So you started Mentor Cloud when I first met you 6 years ago, and what was the vision then? What were you thinking of doing? What was the idea there?
Yeah, on the day I missed that sort of near fatal accident, I said, if I can impact 100 million people to really unleash the power of mentorship on them, so that they can build better careers, better startups. So
Hmm.
the vision was to really reach a lot of people around the world. And we were thinking of, you if you go inside a company, when companies become really big, employees all over the world, especially millennials, 75% of millennials are actually interested in finding a mentor, because they
Wow.
want to find, therefore they want to find meaning in the workplace. And it's also proven that people who have a mentor in the workplace, they stay with the company 5 or more years.
Wow.
So it actually directly impacts retention.
Right. Right.
So we wanted to look at companies, and we work with Marriott International, we work with Seven West Media in Australia, where we are able to connect people within an organization. And then over time, we got a lot of requests from what I call communities, communities of CEOs, communities of alumni, communities of
Wow.
social entrepreneurs, who are saying, look, can you help us connect better and really unleash the collective intelligence of our
Right.
group? So we work with YPO, we work with
Wow.
EO,
Wow.
and Summit in LA. Some really good communities have come up, and so the vision has always been to connect people, but we go and look at a specific community, because when it comes to sharing and learning, you don't want to learn from a stranger. So there has to be some
Hmm.
some commonality. We both are work for the same company, same organization, same community, etc.
And you also said when we talked for my Forbes blog that there's so much institutional knowledge that individuals have that without passing that down, not just institutional knowledge, but let's say it's IBM or GE or Google, why waste that? Why not make sure individuals who wish to do this are passing down everything they've learned? Isn't that right?
Absolutely, because see, it is humanly impossible to write down everything you know,
Right. And who's
right?
going to
I mean,
do that?
otherwise we'll be writing 5,000 books, right?
Right.
Because our human mind has so much
Right.
accumulated experience and stories, and these senior leaders in companies have what I call contextual wisdom.
Right.
Because if I want to learn marketing, I can go online and take a YouTube video, watch a YouTube video, or take a class. But learning marketing in the context of my company, that wisdom exists with your senior leaders and experts.
Wow.
And that wisdom may not be in documents, or it's only comes out in conversations.
Oh,
So
that's
you
so
got to
true.
let the senior leaders to engage in those conversations. I call them intentional conversations.
Yeah.
And mentoring is an intentional conversation. It's not a chit chat. Somebody's coming to the table to say, look, you want to learn about marketing, let me tell you how marketing works in the organization. So when you have these
Wow.
intentional conversations, you pass on that, so what you call institutional wisdom.
And isn't it, was it Noel Tishy? Is that how you pronounce it? Leadership expert. He talked about the teachable point of view, TPOV. And so many leaders have one, but haven't articulated it. But being a mentor allows you to articulate, how you make decisions. What are the critical value points and priorities that help you say yes to this and no to this? This is not the stuff that, as you say, if you're not intentional, you may not even be aware of your teachable point of view. Oh, I love it in every way.
And
I
it
am.
only comes out in conversations, Kathy.
Yeah.
That's why one of the key takeaways that I encourage people is, make sure that you're engaged in good conversations, because one conversations can change your destiny.
And,
And
just even mentoring, just yesterday, a woman reached out. I said, sure, let's talk. Just the very act of her asking questions that I don't think about often. How did your podcast get to where it is? Or what were it, it gives you learning just in the process of being intentional. It's just incredible. I have another question for you here. And then I want to talk about MentorCloud. Did you yourself, when you were younger, have a pivotal mentor that you were aware as a young person, like this wonderful young man that you helped? Did it change your life before you thought of MentorCloud? Is that why you knew this is something you had to do?
I mean, I've had people along the way who have saw something in me and took active interest. In fact, if I go back to my elementary school, and there was an English teacher who
Oh,
would actually use her own money, get me more books to read,
oh, wow.
and who
Really?
encouraged me to write. And today, when I write a blog or speak, I remember her every
Oh,
time, because so there were people who took
oh,
extra interest. There was another teacher in my 10th grade who said, "Hey, you have multiple talents.
mm,
Don't neglect any of them." And he would
wow.
make sure I got elected in the local Interact Club, which is a part of the Rotary Club. And I was in speech and debate. So as adults, we also need to do the same thing to our children and people younger than us, is open doors for them and sort of recognize, because sometimes we don't recognize what we have,
Oh, that's
and
the
some
truth.
other
We
people
often don't when they come
often
easily
don't.
to us. We think, "Oh, so what? I can
Yeah,
stand up on a stage in front of
everybody
a
has a
thousand people."
PhD, so what, right? Like,
Right.
my mentor used to say, Ravi, you have a PhD, you should tell people. Oh, I thought everybody does. Is how we think, because most wisdom that we think we have, we think it's common sense. But
That's really
your
true.
wisdom is actually gold for at least a billion people. I can guarantee it.
Oh, I love it. All right, now tell us about MentorCloud. I'm really interested. In the beginning, did you vet the people who were selected to be mentors, or were you always just offering the technology and that was up to someone else? Or was it simply people who raised their hand to volunteer? Because let's be honest, there is a portion of mentors who maybe shouldn't be. they
Absolutely. Yeah.
they just want to hear themselves talk. They're narcissists. They don't mentor, they tell and dictate. Let's face it, and so you need to vet your mentors well as well. It's not just coming from the heart, it's other factors. But anyway, Mentor Cloud, how did you, let's say it was for what were the companies in the beginning that you worked for? Marriott.
Yeah. So what we do is, we don't just say we are a technology and you handle it. We actually work with our organizations in
Oh,
helping them identify the right mentors and the right mentees.
really?
There is a selection process, and then because I wrote the book, we also use the book plus any materials that the
Oh,
customers have to make sure the mentors know why they are there. Because
wow.
number one thing is, if you go ask somebody, hey, can you be a mentor? The first response is, I don't have time now.
Right.
So you have to make it clear why, because
What you're
mentorship
going to
is
get
about
out of it. Why is it
establishing
important for
legacy.
you?
Why is it important for you, right? You're establishing your legacy. You are becoming known in the organization. Your own knowledge is getting sort of, the best of the best knowledge, because you don't know what you know is valuable until somebody says something positive.
Wow. Oh,
So,
that's fabulous.
so so we make sure that this kind of communication happens, and people are enthusiastic, because when we match people, we want people who are enthusiastic about advancing in their own career by sharing with the people who are enthusiastic about learning to advance their career.
Wow.
So there is a lot of preparation, a lot of communication, a little bit of learning that happens before you bring technology to bring them together. And then so we have a matching engine that matches people, and then we give them sort of live chat, live video tools, and then we do
Wow.
surveys, we do check-ins, so that because we want to make sure this connection becomes a meaningful point for both of them.
I love it. You're bringing to mind, I interviewed a wonderful guy, Garrett Mintz. Do you know him? You'd probably love to connect with him. He started Ambition in Motion, which is a mentoring
Hmm,
community experience where there's matching. But he said something I'd never really thought of. He said there's a lot of young people that come out and say, I want to work at PwC. So I'm going to find a mentor at PwC. And what he's seen is that's the least effective
correct.
indicator of success in the relationship. It's more about, does that person view their career in the same way the mentee does? Is it a job? Is it a career? Is it a passion? What is it? Because
Mm.
if you've got a woman at PwC who views it as a job, they're not going to really match up well if it's mentoring someone who doesn't have that view of the career. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I remember I used to advise when I was mentoring students, when they want to have, like, I want to join PwC, and I would always ask them to go read up their bios, you
To go
know,
what? Could do what?
to basically go read up their bios on
I see.
LinkedIn, right? Even though you are the CEO of Goldman Sachs, you wouldn't have studied investment banking in your undergraduate degree, right? So it's not about where they are. You have to figure out where they have been.
Oh, what a
What
great
is the journey
tip.
look like? Very, very
Right.
important, right? Because people can study music and then become a head of investment banking. So don't be so transactional about these interactions.
Yeah, I just want this person with this job title.
Yeah, it never works that way.
And what should they, if they look at the bio, what are they looking for? Did they train in an area that I'm interested in, or is that what they're looking for when they're looking at the bio of the vice president at PwC? What is it that they're trying to find?
Basically, that bio gives you a sense of the journey.
Right.
So to get to PwC is not a one stop.
I see.
There are
So
multiple
so the
stops.
journey should speak to the mentee.
Exactly.
It should say, "Wow,
So,
that's interesting."
so me as a mentee, I can ask those questions to the mentor. Hey,
Right.
how did having a major in sociology
Right.
is helping you to become a fantastic consultant today?
Wow.
How was it like to be in high tech industry and then aerospace industry? So I can ask intelligent questions if I know the journey, because it's those experiences from the journey that are more valuable than the destination where this mentor is.
Oh, I love it. I love every word. All right, now tell us about the new development for women you have for MentorCloud. Tell us about that.
Yes. So, mentorship is so fundamental to what I speak about, what we do at MentorCloud. But a few years ago, we've been thinking about, you know, basically where the world is heading,
Mhm.
and I see that there is a tremendous number of women who are sort of joining the corporate world, and also more than 250 million women are considered entrepreneurs in the world, according to Global Entrepreneurship Monitor.
Mm.
And then when I was looking at, because I told you my journey is about impact,
Right.
and I have read that when a woman is successful, then the family becomes successful, then the community becomes successful, right? So
Mm.
the women have the natural sense of nourishment and sort of nurturing people around them. And I saw that the success rates for women entrepreneurs were not as high as men.
Right.
So I happened to be at a gender intelligence sort of workshop with Dr. Barbara Arnes,
Ooh.
and then she opened my eyes into what are some of the unique qualities as well as some of the pitfalls that women, why they don't succeed as often. They don't network strategically, they
Right.
don't have access to mentors, they don't have access to funding, they don't sort of brag about their successes, they give up too quickly because they don't have the right support network.
Right.
So I said all of these are sort of ingredients to find the right mentors to fill those gaps.
Wow.
So we said, let's launch a platform that actually moves the needle
Mm.
for the women entrepreneurs. So we started what is called as the V platform, the Women Entrepreneurship Platform. And we came up with sort of a 4C framework,
Mm.
because these women entrepreneurs, we need to essentially provide them with the right community, that they
Mhm.
feel supported, sort of increase their capacity to execute, provide them access to connections, to investors, to advisors, as well as to talent, and then
Yeah.
increase their competence through e-learning and so on. So
Right.
this 4C framework, we said we're not going to talk about it, we are going to actually move the needle.
Wow.
So the V platform, which with advice from Susan Sabot, who
Yeah.
Barbara Arnes, Celia Black was one of the on the founding team of Singularity,
Mm.
Yasmin, the CEO of Voyage. We have brought some really cool, really good, strong women leaders and put together a technology platform
Wow.
and some content so that entrepreneurs who are women from around the world, we are able to match them, and we want them to show quarter over quarter growth of their business.
Wow. I love it. Now, can corporate women also join this platform?
So corporate women can join as mentors. So we have an application process. People can go to mentorcloud.com, the V platform, and
Mm.
corporate women can join as mentors. And then, because to be a mentee on our platform, you have to have an existing business,
I
and
see. I
and
see.
at least have a product that you have launched in the last 6 months. And later on, maybe next year, we will start
Wow.
people who want to be entrepreneurs. Right now there are enough people who are already running businesses.
Wow.
How do we identify where they need most help, and essentially give them access to the mentors and the competencies they need so that they can move the needle.
Oh, it's fantastic. So back to not to beat a dead horse. If you are a corporate woman listening to this and you want to make sure you're a part of Mentor Cloud, would it be that you go to your HR department and see if that company is what would you call it? A subscriber to Mentor Cloud? Is
So
and
you
start
don't,
there?
I mean, you can always do that, but even if your company is not a subscriber, you can still apply to be a mentor and we will invite you.
But I'm asking if they want to be mentees. So you've got, someone who's not in your partner database, is not those 20 companies, but they really would love to have Mentor Cloud be something that serves their company, and they want to participate as mentees. Should they do then?
Yeah, so we don't have a platform where anybody can be a mentee. We don't have like an open network yet.
Right.
So we are launching one later this year just
You
for women
you don't
professionals.
have that for CEOs? I thought you did actually, that
Yeah,
there were
again, but
communities.
all of them are belong to a community.
I
For
see.
example,
I
you
see.
have to be part of YPO to be part of the YPO Mentor Cloud.
Oh, I
You have to
see.
be part of EO to be part of EO Mentor Cloud.
I
So
see.
if you're not part of any of this, we don't have a platform to sign up. So, best thing you can do is, let your company know to bring Mentor Cloud in-house.
That's what
Uh,
I'm saying.
we are launching a sort of another B2C network where mentees can actually come in and
Wonderful.
find mentors just like women entrepreneurs. We're also doing one for women professionals.
Oh, when's that coming? Soon?
Q3,
Wow.
it's
I
coming up,
love
yes.
You're touching every base here. It's not just enterprise to enterprise, you're saying. It's now we're talking communities. It might be CEOs across the world. It might be, VP of marketing, women across the world, whatever, at some point.
Absolutely. So there's because there is so much underutilized wisdom in the world
Yeah,
right now. And where an average person wants to share, but they don't know where to do that. And the current platforms like Facebook or LinkedIn are not catered to that.
right.
And we are moving to a world where we want to belong to sort of communities, the communities that we share a common cause, something that we can speak and not be judged, and we can share and learn easily. So we are actually focusing a lot more on which communities you belong and how can we make your participation in the community more valuable. So Mentor
What a
Cloud communities is something that we are going to launch this year as well.
what a gift to the world. So if we were, I never asked this question this way, but I feel like asking it. If there were a call to action of the listeners here, what would you ask them to do about this? Let's say they're not a part of any kind of mentoring situation, maybe going to their company and ask about Mentor Cloud, bringing it in. Might another call to action be anyone listening, think about how you can give to someone else, how you can get into the experience of being a mentor any way you can. What else should they do? What's a call to action
I
here?
mean, they can still reach out. We have a contact us form, and if we can help them, we will. If there
Wonderful.
is someone that in our universe that is willing to be a mentor to them, we'll absolutely do that, because even if their company is not a
Oh,
subscriber,
how
we'll
nice.
find other ways. So because we are all about connecting people, and but the most important thing is make mentorship sort of part of your week or a month, because mentorship is not emergency room, right, where you wait till you fall sick and then run to the emergency room.
Right,
I again say that in my talks, is that don't wait for a crisis.
right,
Mentorship is to avoid those crises in your careers.
right.
So I would encourage all listeners, in the last 1 week, in the last 1 month, have you had a conversation that is not related directly to your project that you're working on? Because it has to be sort of horizontal. You got to be talking to people. You got to be networking. because one of the pitfalls for women is not strategic networking enough,
Right.
right? So ask yourself, are you having good conversations? If all your conversations are related to your work or to your family, that's not good enough. You need to have a conversation that is beyond those two, because that's where the world opens up.
I couldn't love that more. And I would just add to be generous. And the more generous you are, the more generosity will flow your way. It's an energy exchange. This is how the world works.
Absolutely, yes. What you give is what you get.
That's it. I mean, it really couldn't be any simpler. Oh, I love it. Now tell us where we find out all about you, all about MentorCloud. Where do people go?
Yes. So thank you, Kathy. That was excellent conversation.
Thank
Like
you,
you said,
Ravi.
it seems like we're having dinner and we could talk all night long.
I think we could.
We
It's
could,
hard
yes.
for me to
So
end.
yes, thank you so much for having me on your
Oh,
show.
thank you, Ravi.
People can find more about MentorCloud at mentorcloud.com, and there is a separate page on the V platform.
Great.
And if you want to watch a demo, just let us know. And
Great.
for being a listener of your podcast, I will do a demo for them. It's not a
Oh,
problem. And
thank
yeah,
you.
my book is on Amazon. But if anybody wants an e-copy, they can fill out a form on our website, and I'm happy to send them a copy of my book, The Art of Mentoring.
Wow.
And all of my talks are on YouTube. They can also find me at ravigundlapalli.com.
I
It's
love it.
RAVI, my last name, gundlapalli.com.
Yep. And
All my
we'll link to
videos.
that below, people.
They're all
Oh, Ravi, what a wonderful giving spirit you are. You're just mentorship embodied in the world. And
thank
I
you.
know that in every time I've ever spoken with you or emailed you. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time and thank you for making the impact that you are because you are impacting certainly your goal of 100 million, if not more. Thank you.
Not
Now,
more,
people,
absolutely.
I
Thank you so
hope.
much, Kathy.
Oh, my pleasure. We want to hear from you. You can tell Ravi wants to. He's giving you a demo if you want it. Definitely reach out on the contact page. Let me know how this impacts you. You know, we don't just want to put this information out. We'd love to hear how it impacts you. So please write us wherever you see this on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Did it motivate you to either reach out to be a mentor for someone or to have the courage to ask for help, which it does take courage to say, I want to be a mentee and I'm ready. It takes courage, it takes bravery. And we'd love to hear your success stories or your struggles, whatever you want to share. We'd love to. But let's just get out there and be more generous and also ask for help when we need it. And I think the world will transform for you when you do. All right, everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Robbie. Come back again.
Absolutely. Love to be on your show
Oh,
again. Thank you,
thank
Kathy.
you.
All
Thank
the
you.
best for what you're doing. And
Thank you,
you're
Robbie.
helping people find their inner bravery to
That's it.
achieve their full God given potential. So
Oh, that's
you're doing
beautiful.
something extraordinary.
Thanks, my dear. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.